Hey everybody, I'm over here and it doesn't matter. Anyway, I'm at a project that I'm going to be working on some shiplap um, panels. We're going to simulate shiplap. It's going to be an 8-inch board, look like an 8-inch board, but it's going to be on a 32-inch panel, and there'll be four rows of boards it'll look like. And I'm going to cut it out of hardy board, cement board, concrete board, uh, and I'm going to show you how I did it. Now, I took some measurements already, kind of sped up the process on the sheet. So I'm going to just go ahead. I got to cut one sheet the length. I have to do it outside. I forgot my dust mask, but I have a COVID mask. So one thing for COVID, that might be good. I don't know. There was lots of these left over in the van, so I'm just going to wear one of these trusty little things, and that'll keep most of the dust out of my lungs, and that'll be great. So yeah, so it's going to get dusty here. I'm just going to cut it off with a cement with a tile cut grinding blade, diamond tip wheel, and then I'll get into cutting the grooves, and I'll kind of show you as I'm going. I made it 8 inches, but then I had to go 1.5 inches to give space for my saw, my table saw. I set up the grinding wheel in it. And I set this up so it's already set. No, shoot, I got to reset this one up. I got to set it to death, and I'll get right back to you. Okay, I'm back. So I set my saw up. I didn't want to do that on camera, just boring shit. So, yeah. So I got a mask. It's not the right one, but it's better than the one that I didn't have. So I'm going to cut this board off. I got to go outside to do it, and I'm just using my grinder here with the tile cutter, porcelain cutter blade on it. It's got ribs on it, so it cuts really quick. It's going to make a little bit of a dust, a little bit of noise. So I got to cut this panel at 47 inches wide or length, and I'm just going to cut that kind of rough because it doesn't matter what the cut looks like at the end because it's all going to be covered at the ends. I'm going to cover it with a piece of wood, or to be covered overlapping in the corner. So I'm not worried too much about that. So here we go. And just like that, made a little bit of a quick work in that. So, if you can hear me with that mask on. All right, so now what I've done here is take these glasses off for a second. What I've done here is I've already made some measurements on this board, and I want each board, each row looks like a board, a fake board for the shiplap. I want each one of them to be an 8-inch reveal. So by doing that, I'm going to do 8 inches, but I have to make up the difference because I'm using my skill saw, and it takes a 1/2 inch from the blade to where I'm going to put my little gauge. So I've already made, sorry about this, I've already made the measurement. So my skill saw will run up against this. This will clamp on the board, and it'll run and sets about 1.5 inches is what it works out to be in for the blade to hit this line. Now I want that groove to be 1/4 inch deep, which is what I've done. I don't want to cut more than 1/4 inch out of this board because if I do, then I'm going to take the stability out of it, the integrity out of the board. You don't want the board to break. So I'm going to set this up. I'm going to lay it down on the floor again, and then we're going to cut this out with the skill saw. It'll be 2 rips, so maybe even 3. I have one line set at 1.5 inches from the 8-inch mark, and then I have another line set at 1 5/8 inches from the 8-inch mark. And what that will do is just give me a double wide cut. So I'll run through a couple times, and it might have to take the center of it. Sometimes you have to, just depending on how precise I got. But anyway, so once I'm done that, then I'll clean it up, and then we'll go from there. So just give me a second here. We'll be right back. Okay, I've got it all set up. So what I've got here is I want to do an 8-inch wide board, looks like. And what I had to do is I set this up to 9.5 inches. So that's the first measurement where this needs to go to get the 8-inch cut. So I'm only going to cut a 1/4 inch deep on this. I'm going to run the skill saw up against it to do that. This could be easier if you run it through a table saw. I don't know. If you had 2 or 3 of these blades stacked on a table saw, might work out. I don't know. There's my first pass. So now I'm just going to adjust this up. I've already made the measurement line on this. It's 1/8. So I'm just going to bring it down just a little bit less than 1/8. I'm going to do probably 1/16 just to see. I might have to make 3 passes. I just want to make sure I'm clean on the center, that's all. All right, let's do this again. Same thing. Okay, just like that. Yep, that was a little cleaner, so that's what I'll do. I'll do 3 passes. I already did one of these yesterday, one of these panels yesterday, and I want to make sure that this one here is going to be the same. So now I'm on my line that I need to be to make my 1/4 inch cut, and we're going to give it one more pass. There. I'll take the mask off for a second. Now, what I've done, people might ask, geez, you know, this cement board's a little jagged on the edges, and when it cuts and stuff. We already, a buddy of mine and I had this conversation the other day, and that's what he had said. So I said, well, we're going to find out. So what I have is a 120 disc, a flappy disc on the grinder. It's not on the grinder. I'm just using it loose. It works out good for these grooves. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to soften the edge. So I'm just going to run it in the groove and soften the edge and take off all those hairs to make it look like it's like a rotored edge. And it doesn't take much, right? You're not working hard on this. Just running it in there, kind of setting it up on a 45. That's it. It's done. So now we're going to move it up. I've already made these measurements. So I went 8 inches, and then I went 16 inches, So I kept on going. 24 inches, but I have to set the gauge up for 1.5 inches above the line every time. So now we're going to do it again. So I'm setting the gauge up to make my second piece, or second row, I guess. There we go. This gauge hasn't been used in a long time, so it's just a little bit on the sticky side. Okay. I used to have this when I used to build cabinets. Maybe someday you'll see that on a post too. Been in the housing industry for a lot of years, 25 probably. Done a lot of things, from foundations right up to the roof. So you might get to see some of that, hopefully. All right, so here we go. I'm just going to set this up for the second one, and it's all set up, so we're going to give it a go. Oops. That becomes a problem when that happens, because when your cord gets stuck, obviously it'll make your line shaky, and you don't want a shaky line. So be careful of that. Make sure your cords, if you're using corded tools, are all free. Best off to use these days cordless tools. A lot of benefits. There's my second pass. Somehow or another, I missed a piece here. I'm just gonna clean that up. It's okay to make a mistake. You can carry on and learn from it. There, done. So now I'll clean that one up. And again, we're just running this side, or like on a 45 degrees, just to kind of soften the cut that I've made. If you get a little shaky on the very edge of this, trying to do this, and you mess up a little bit on the edge, as long as you can cover it with your piece, like this is going to be a piece of barn board that's going to sit on the edge of this, a rough edge beam, look like, going up, and it's going to cap it over. So I'm not too concerned about if I get shaky on the first inch on one end of this panel. But this panel is directional, so there will be a top and a bottom to it, and the reason why, you'll see that in a minute. When you get this one done, then you have to cut a groove right at the edge of the panel to match these grooves. And the reason why, I just got a little spot here, is, one second here. The reason why is because the next sheet that I cut, I'm going to cut a bit of the back of it out, and I'm just have like a 1/8 overhang, just so you don't see the cut or the two pieces where they stack together, to make it look seamless. So, all right, so we're going to continue on with that. Like I showed you on a video there yesterday. So we're up at our third cut now. We might actually switch sides of the board. I just got a board sitting here in the deck. It's just to allow my gauge to be a little higher than the floor of the deck. This deck is just a temporary deck. An old deck they took off here. They're going to build a new one here, I think. So we're going to use it for our cut shop. This might be better if you have a couple sawhorses set up or whatnot. It's entirely up to you. I'm not going to bring all that equipment out just to cut one panel. It's not worth it to me. It's a lot of work to be carrying stuff that you don't need to. I have it all sitting in the van. Just not interested in bringing it out. So, here we go again. Let's position myself a little better. Bring my power cord up. All right, ready to rock. I'm going to have to make that pass again. I skipped. I actually picked the whole saw up off the board for some reason. I just figured it out. The blade got loose on the saw. I'll give that a little snug. No problem. Give it another try. The world's not perfect. There, problem solved. So we're just going to adjust this line again. We're going to go up about a 16th from the other one. I have it measured out for 1/8. I'm going to move it a 16th. Done. Okay, last pass on that line. Simple as that. I'll take my floppy disk and I'm just going to clean that edge up. This panel is going to be painted. The customer is going to paint this panel after I leave, and then she said that she'll post a final on it when she's done, which is fine. I encourage my customers to do as much as they want to. It's always something for me to do. All right. Now, we're at the top edge. This one here is going to be a little bit different. I haven't made the measurement backward on this one. I should have, but I didn't. So we're just going to take a quick measurement, 4.5 inches from the blade to the edge of the saw, which is set up against this gauge. So 4.5 inch line there. We'll do the same on this end. And the 4.5 inch line here. This is just for me to reference back, so if I know that my gauge didn't move, my guide didn't move. So, all right, so we're just going to tighten that up, and you can get there. So now we're just going to run that through. Just going to run that through, and take a bit off the end so I can overlap the sheet and make it look like one of these lines when it's done. I'm just going to bring that down just a little bit. Didn't quite catch my line. That's okay. You're allowed to make adjustments. And you don't always have to have a tape measure to do that. Okay, that seemed to give me what I wanted. Now I'm going to come out and I'm going to clean up the edge of it. So we're going to have to get shorter, obviously, to bring everything that way. So I'm going to go on the other side of my line that I referenced, made a reference line there. And I'm just going to set that up, and then I'm going to run a couple passes for there. There. So it's one, and I almost got it. So I just got a little bit more. And we'll run another pass. That'll clean up the edge. There. Now, I've got that all cleaned up already. I didn't put my safety goggles on. Sorry. I have a few bad habits. We're just gonna, like I said, I'm just gonna run that on that edge at a 45, just to kind of take up those hairs and stuff on there. Little pieces of fiberboard. So, and oops, may have to clean that up just a little bit. There's one spot here that's high. But anyway, I'm just gonna quickly show you. I'm gonna stop the camera at this, and I'm gonna bring it up a little closer so you can see what I've done. And then I'll clean up this edge. Trying to downsize the video so you don't see all the boring stuff that you already know. So once you're done, this is what you have. Panel, you can see the lines. And I've made now a piece of panel. When you run it this way, once it's finished, it'll look like shiplap. Simulate it. So, like I said, there's another piece here. It's another row and a half of this, another 8 and another 6, and then I got to take some notches out of it. That's to allow the air to come back and underneath the mantle and away from the wall. I'm gonna do that next, and once that's done, then I'll go on to the next stage and see what happens from there. Okay, thanks for watching. Have a great day.